Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the one we have all been waiting for, the NUEL Summer 2019 CSGO Finals, with Portsmouth coming up against the Warwick Has-Beens. I, of course, am Wolfie6678, and joining me for this one is Daedalus. How you doing, dude?
Oh, I'm doing great, Wolfie. I'm so hyped to be here to cast this finals. You know what? I thought we had an amazing semi-final last week, and now you and we get to cast another week, and it's going to be grand finals. So honestly, it can't be anything but good.
Exactly, and of course we have Portsmouth coming through from that semi-final to join the Warwick Has-Beens in this finale. They have faced each other once before where Portsmouth got the best of them, but that was a bit of a nothing match in the upper brackets. So we're not going to read too much into that, and we're expecting a sure firecracker of a series here.
Hopefully it will be. You know what? I think Portsmouth are definitely coming in as the clear favorites. They've just been so dominant throughout the season, but Warwick, they've also fought their way here, and obviously that means that they deserve to be here. And seeing as how they won the NUEL before, I feel like they can live off of that experience.
I feel like when you're saying Portsmouth are the clear favourites, you are doing a disservice to the stretchy boys of old, the dominant champions of both NUELs and King of the North in 2018. Of course, this is their last outing as the stretchy boys roster, so I think the nostalgia could well hit as we get into this best of three series, and Warwick could really put up a fight.
Oh yes, and obviously, as it is their last stretch at that roster, you would want to see them just succeed here tonight, just to have that Cinderella story and complete it all, Wolfie. But it all begins with going through the likes of Portsmouth, the likes of Neil. You have old Sandon. These players, they are just guys you have to respect, and you definitely have to take them down in order to just win this entire series.
Absolutely. And of course, when you talk of the names like K Neal and you talk about BSK and you just think back to the shots they were hitting on
Mm.
Inferno, on Mirage, making it look so easy. That's what Warwick used to do. That's what we used to see from Fades and MFX. And we really do need to see that from them again tonight
Yeah.
if they're going to stand a chance against this roster.
Oh, we definitely do, Wolfie. You're hitting the nail right on his head right there, and it is important to see that coming into this series. But overall, I feel like this series will really just be like build upon who can get the best start, because I'm sure that on the side of Warwick, they are very emotional coming into this. It would be amazing for them to just get that last win. But on the side of Portsmouth, if they win the NUEL, they put Portsmouth on the map, and they have such a good foundation from like their backland, getting all of that support and winning the NUEL right here would be amazing for them.
And I think Portsmouth's main issue here, it's not going to be the players, it's not going to be the skill, it's going to be the depth of their map pool. We've spoken to Warwick and they've talked about having this 7 map pool that they are
Hmm.
comfortable no matter where they end up. From Portsmouth, we haven't really seen that. We've seen the pug maps, but we haven't seen the executes.
Yeah, that's true. And for Portsmouth, it's all about Mirage and Overpass. And you can be 100% sure that Warwick, they're going to be banning down. That they're not going to allow them to get Mirage. They're not going to allow them to get Overpass. It's going to be all about Nuke, Inferno, Train, which is what they really excel on the side of Warwick. Like you're not going to see Portsmouth get their favorite maps.
I think Portsmouth have got to insta-ban Train. When I was looking at this matchup, that was one of my win conditions for them. They can't allow Train to go through. Warwick, the Stretchy Boys specifically, have lost on Train once in the last year and a half in officials. You can't allow that map to get through.
No, you just can't. You're definitely right, Wolfie. So I would be afraid if I had to play Train here against Warwick. But sometimes it's about making a statement, and if you can't defeat Warwick on Train, well, I think that is a pretty big statement.
That would be a huge statement, to say the least. I think it is a huge ask, though, as well, to match up with it. Portsmouth, they haven't tended to look at executes. They've tended to go for that raw fragging
Hmm.
power, and it almost got away from them on map 2 against the Oxford Brooks Vipers in that semi-final. They let the pace get away from them very early on in the game, and I think that's, again, going to be a key aspect of this best-of-3 series, is how Portsmouth control the pace of the game. They struggled to do it in the semis. They need to step up here in the finals.
Yes, and I completely agree with you, Wolfie. I would also add that for Portsmouth, it's very important for them to try and get these duels happening. They're not a team who really excels at fighting as a five-man unit. They want to go for 2v2s. They want to go for 1v1s. They want to have utility come in and then just split and conquer the entire team. So for Portsmouth, it's very important for them to try and just split Warwick up, but it will be hard doing that against Warwick, a team that just plays as a team and honestly will have so much experience playing against all the different strategies that you can utilize against them in Counter Strike.
Absolutely. And we have talked to some extent about Portsmouth. So let's move on to the win conditions for Warwick. What do
Mhm.
you think Warwick need to do to win this best of three matchup?
Oh, you know what, Wolfie? We talked to the coach before we headed into this matchup, and Alan said that Fates and M_FX, they are the strongest players on the team. As of recently, they have been kind of struggling a bit, but if they can show up here today, then Alan, their coach, says that they will be some of the best players in the CES university scene. So that is definitely a big statement and something that Warwick they can play off of.
And I mean, obviously you have to have the players turning up, but I think there is a really interesting clash of styles here that Warwick could look to sort of exploit to an
Hmm.
extent. We saw Portsmouth, we know how they play, we've seen them playing this very frag heavy game. Warwick go execute. They like their train, they like their nuke, they like their smoke lineups to back that up.
Yeah.
And I think what we're going to see here is going to be a titanic clash of styles between the age old pug frag your life out versus that team dynamic of going for the executes and trying to just lock players out of sights.
Yeah, well, you know what? That might just be the case, Wolfie. But for Warwick, they're gonna have a hard time moving up against Portsmouth because they have faced them before in the upper bracket of Newell Spring 19. They got put into the lower, that is Warwick, and honestly, that obviously means that Portsmouth they have the best record moving up against Warwick. But Warwick, they have a tendency to show up in those high stakes games, and well, they also have the experience to back it up. So Portsmouth, who have not won the NUEL before, definitely will have a hard time here today.
And of course, the nerves always come into it, don't they? You're in the final of the Newell Summer 19. It would be Portsmouth's first Newell CSGO victory. And you get to that map point on map 2 or map
Mhm.
3. And do you just start to bottle it a little bit? Do you start to lose your nerve?
Oh, you might just do that, Wolfie. But fortunately for Portsmouth, they have so many talented players. Devil, you have old Sandon. Well, you can mention pretty much everyone has Crispy and well, hell, even Neil. All of these guys, they are so talented, and you have the likes of Neil, who's the shot caller, who's been in so many different LAN parties. So obviously, that is also some experience that really counts here for Portsmouth, and they need to use this experience.
And I think players like Neil showing up, that's got to be on the win conditions list for Portsmouth. We spoke about it for Warwick. And for me, Portsmouth, we've got that train band that has to come through.
Hmm.
We need their big players to show up. The one other thing I had written down here is don't let it go to a third map. I think if we see a three map series here, that's where Warwick's map pool starts to really play into their hands. The fact they have that 7 map deep pool, no matter what we end up on map 3, they're going to be comfortable. For Portsmouth, it could be a very different story.
Great point that you're coming in with, Wolfie, but I will also say that for Warwick, having been in the final before definitely gives them that edge when it comes to endurance. They've been in these situations before, the high stakes games, the games that have gone to three games. So obviously, they have that experience, they can play with that, and that's something that Portsmouth they haven't tried before.
Absolutely. And we will hopefully very shortly be getting into this best of 3 matchup where I think maps are going to play a very big part in the series. Obviously, we have players who are nuts on both sides. We have individuals who can step up and be that clutch player and be the guy to carry your team through when they're having those rough spots. But it's going to be the maps that decide the difference, in my personal opinion, of course. Of course,
Mhm.
curse to the caster, none of this is going to come true. But I reckon that third map is going to be key. And I want to say we'll see Vertigo just to annoy the observers.
Of course you want to say that, Wolfie, but you know what? I'm sure it's going to be banned out, and I just have a question for you. Are you a very like caster curse heavy caster? Do
I
you
do tend
usually
to.
caster curse the teams?
I do tend to curse people. That's why I very rarely cast teams that I support because when I cast and say something's going to happen, it just never does.
That's a bit unfortunate, isn't it, Wolfie? But You know what? Fortunately, here for today, I mean, it's going to be very hard to caster curse Warwick unless you caster curse them so that Portsmouth they're not going to be banning out Train. That would be quite a caster curse.
I think train ban it's going to come through 100% of the time. There's
It
no
has
way
to.
we don't see the train ban coming in. It leaves a nice opening for Warwick though, because even if you see that train ban, they can just take it to Nuke. We haven't seen much of Portsmouth on Nuke whatsoever, and of course, such an execute heavy map, it's going to really rely on teamwork that we're not sure Portsmouth can bring.
That is definitely true. And you know what? For Portsmouth, as they do favor Mirage and Overpass, we have seen them on Inferno as well. So if you can ban away Inferno, perhaps take it over to Nuke, as you mentioned, and perhaps even go over to, let's say, Overpass or go over to the likes of Train. If that's not going to be banned out, then I do think that there definitely is a lot of possibilities for Warwick to get some good maps into their into this pool of maps for tonight.
Absolutely. And when maps can play such a key part, having that incredibly deep map pool is so important. And of course, for Portsmouth, they haven't had the roster stability that we've seen from Warwick. The stretchy boys were the stretchy boys. Nothing changed all year. It was
Hmm.
very, very simple. Whereas Portsmouth, pretty much every game in this Newell Summer split, they've played with a different five-man roster.
Oh yeah, and they've been able to get to the grand final. So you know what? I'm just excited to see what this full roster should be able to do if they're bringing it here today, Wolfie. Obviously, again, they're talented individuals, so having the option to still do so well when you have a substitute is definitely something that you have to be scared of on the side of Warwick.
And that depth in your roster is just it's a little bit luck of the draw when it comes to university CS, the freshers coming in, what skill level they bring, but Portsmouth have an incredibly deep roster, and that's almost something they stole from Warwick because it was well documented and well known that even if you were, say, level 10 on Face It, you didn't get into the first team immediately for Warwick because they had that depth in their roster for the past couple of years. Portsmouth
Mhm.
are starting to gain that now, and it really does provide you with an insane advantage when it comes to these sort of events.
That's definitely true. And when you, as a team on the side of Portsmouth, are now in the grand final, it can only go upwards. If they can keep this momentum rolling and they can get to the grand final for the next split, then honestly, Portsmouth, they might just start to build up their own era.
And if Portsmouth could do what Warwick have done, that would be absolutely insane. Could you imagine having another era of the mightiness of the stretchy boys, but one last chance for them to bite back as the has-beens to give themselves half a chance here in this best of three matchup?
Well, I would love to see it, Wolfie. And you know what? Here for this matchup, it's just going to be so interesting to see which will come out on, sorry, which team will come out on top. Portsmouth, Warwick, Portsmouth, they won before, but that was not in a high stakes game. It's not been in this situation where Warwick, they have the experience.
And we will be heading very shortly into the vetoes, and then it'll be a chance for both teams to organize their maps, a chance for both teams to just get settled into the game, enjoy the final. And for a lot of these players, it's an opportunity to be on that big stage, to be at the finals, win your first land. I mean, obviously not the case for the stretchy boys, but for a lot of Portsmouth, it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, and even if they are to lose here tonight, Wolfie, just gaining that experience and gaining the knowledge that you get from being able to play in a grand final like this is just big for players. Like you get so much experience out of playing in these grand finals, and as we said, it could be a new era about to rise up here for Portsmouth. So getting that experience, even if they are to lose, is a good start.
I was absolutely terrified there. It flashed up on the screen. Warwick has-beens have vetoed Train, but we have the news that that was, of course, a mistake, not meant to happen. Honestly, I thought the curse of the caster had come in so strongly that Warwick could ban their best map.
You know what? Sometimes it's just about sending the message, right? Sometimes you don't even need to play your best map. You just say, guys, we're going to do it for you. We're going to ban it out. You don't have to waste it on that. But of course, yeah, Warwick, they don't want to ban out Train. They want to play it themselves.
Of course, and they want to play those execute heavy maps, as we've said time and time again. This titanic clash of styles. Portsmouth are playing with a different roster to that they
Mhm.
played the semi-finals with, just to keep the streak up of changing players around left, right, and centre. And it almost makes it more difficult. Of course, Warwick have Coach Allen, the iconic Coach Allen, backing them up. But if your team is changing roster every week, how do you prep for that?
That is definitely going to be a problem, Wolfie. And fortunately for Warwick, they do have Alan in there to help them out. But you know what? With the likes of M underscore FX and Nigel, you do have these strong players that you can rely on. And I'm really looking forward to seeing M underscore FX compete here tonight. Is the team captain. He makes the calls once you get into the mid rounds. And he's been winning a lot of tournaments. NSE Winter 2018, NUEL Winter 2018, just to mention a few. He's on fire, and honestly, it's someone that could definitely just be pushing Portsmouth around.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because normally when you talk of those kind of players who are making calls into the early and the mid round, they're the
Mhm,
players who aren't fragging out to the same extent. You don't expect your IGLs to show up on that same level. But for MFX, he seems to just find it easy. He finds the kills despite having to process all that extra information, trying to get everything sorted. He still somehow hits his shots,
mhm.
finds his frags, and drags Warwick through.
Yeah, and that is the kind of player that you want to have on the side of Warwick. So, with all the experience under the belt, then it's just going to be so crazy. Oh, Jesus, Wolfie, I'm
No.
I'm hearing something that's gonna make you very happy.
That's never going to happen. Seeing, of course, the vetoes are a little bit messed up right now, so there was just a brief glimpse of hope where Vertigo became the third map in, but that is almost certainly not going to happen. There is no way that they will allow that to make it through to the end. It's such an unusual map, and it's very unusual. Of course, we can talk
Mhm.
about the major coming up now. That's starting in what, 8 days? And
Yeah.
Valve are still tweaking maps.
Yeah, that is definitely a very interesting approach, seeing as how the major is like one of the well, the biggest tournament that you can play in CSGO. So tweaking maps up to that point is basically the same as creating a new patch in League of Legends a week before Worlds start, and then forcing players to play on that patch. It's a very interesting approach, just to say the least.
It's a very Valve-esque approach to the situation. I am going to go off on a little bit of a rant here. I apologize, chat,
That's
because
that's
of course
okay.
we saw on Reddit very recently that someone had discovered a good few exploits with the A bomb site on Overpass. This
Mhm.
map has been out forever. And there is still exploits available on it. We saw that boost. It was off the back of a bomb site that allows you to see so deep into monster that it is
Oh yeah.
almost a new Olaf boost. And it's just ridiculous. Patch your maps, people. Just smooth your pixels. It's not difficult.
Well, you know what? Apparently it is Wolfie, but yeah, I'm not sure what to say. I'm honestly not sure what to say because you hit the nail on the head. You just need to fix it. It shouldn't be a part of a game, especially not when you are playing at such a level. It shouldn't be such a big problem. But I think the veto is about to be ready.
Let's hope that we can get some maps going sooner rather than later. I am very excited to see how this veto goes out. I think it is a massive mind game for this best of three series, and it really could decide what is going on. Now,
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of very confusing things in this veto. The maps are just reloading, the server jumping about a little bit. So, hopefully, sooner rather than later, we will get the information on that veto. I want to see Nuke. I'm a rubbish caster on Nuke, but I still want to see it purely because Nuke is a map where you can have both contrasting styles working
Hmm.
in different ways. Obviously,
Yeah.
everybody knows Nuke for the outside smokes, for the heavy A executes, but then you could also just have players fragging out. You could just have the AWP of Simple owning the entirety of outside single handedly. And when players like that start to show up, that could be absolutely huge.
Yes. Well, I would love to see Nuke as well, but talking about bans, it's sure that Train will be banned, it's sure that Vertigo will be banned, and I'm hopeful that Mirage should be banned as well, because if you let Mirage go into the hands of Portsmouth, then they're surely going to get one of their best maps, and Warwick, they would not want to do that. So let's see if it isn't going to be banned, or else it's definitely going to give Portsmouth a good edge.
And there we go. Warwick picking Overpass. I've got to say, that is an incredible show of force by Warwick. Insta banning Train. Take that map away. Obviously, when they've played it to the extent that they have,
Mhm.
there is a lot of preparation there to be done. So I wonder if it's a bit of mind games from Coach Allen saying we're going to play Overpass because there's not so much footage of us playing that. and it's going to
Mhm.
make it a lot more difficult for the team to sort of compensate. Then immediately we see Portsmouth picking up Mirage. Of
Yeah.
course, that was a map they looked very confident on against Oxford Brooks. It was very well managed across the series, so understandable.
And right now, Wolfie, they're gaining both their favorite maps on the side of Portsmouth. They want Mirage, they want Overpots. That's the two maps that they prefer. So now they are in a very good spot. But Nuke still up on the table, could still come in here for the side of Warwick. So if they can't get that map as their third map, then I think it's going to be very hard for Portsmouth to win that third map. And then the win condition, as we said, should be to not get to the third
There
map.
we
And
go.
there we go. That's going to be the leftover. That's going to be Nuke.
That was a very interesting call for Portsmouth. They had Dust 2 and Nuke left on the table, and everybody knows nobody likes to play Dust 2 anymore. It's such an awkward map. It's been around
Mm-hmm.
so long. Everybody knows every angle, every smoke. Makes it a very difficult one to sort of read the team on. So they've actually opted to push towards Nuke, which is going to be the third map if it is required. I'm going to say that now. I said in the warm up, I think Portsmouth have to win this in two. I think if they go to a third, Warwick are going to find it a little bit too easy.
And I completely agree with you. If they go to Nuke, it's going to be hard for Portsmouth. It's not their kind of map. It's not one where you can go for these frag heavy rounds where you can go for all of these duels. So now that we're starting on Overpass, it's still going to be a bit hard for Portsmouth to find that, but it's definitely more easy to do that on Overpass than it is on Nuke, because Overpass just has so many different ways for you to enter a bomb site, whereas on Nuke, it's mainly about gaining control over the outside, and that doesn't really involve a lot of dueling.
Exactly. And I think Overpass, they obviously get to start on that CT side, so that makes things a little bit better for
Mhm.
them because they need to hit their flow early on. We saw on both maps of that semi final, Oxford Brooks tended to come out the gates quicker. And I think Warwick, if anything, can learn from that and know if they bring a fast pace to this early game and Portsmouth haven't reacted to that lack of control they felt in the semis, then there is a huge door open for the has-beens, the ex-stretchy boys, to make it a third Newell win.
Yeah, well, having this roster, as we said, Wolfie, just getting that last win with this roster would be the dream for Warwick. Can they get it? Well, only time will tell. Portsmouth, they are the upcomers. They are the ones looking to overtake Warwick and gain themselves a new era. So, Warwick, if they really wanted to get this, then they have to show up and show that the old dogs, they can also learn new tricks.
And what a storyline to have. The old versus the new. The Warwick has-beens, three of them graduating this year, of course. So it is the last chance for them to really have a showing in this new series. A last chance for them to show us what they can do, to wind back the years to that 2018 dominant period. I'm talking about them like they're Astralis here, talking about their dominant period. But they
Hmm.
did win both Newells. They did win King of the North. And in 2018, they looked unstoppable. So hoping, praying that we could see a little bit of that form start to spark again in this best of three.
Oh yeah. Well, I know what you know what, Wolfie. I know you like to do predictions. So what's your prediction right here? Let me know. I know you're a bit of a gambling man, so to say.
I'm gonna go. I think Warwick take Overpass. I think Portsmouth take their map pick of Mirage. But
Hmm.
I think after that, it's gonna be Warwick. I say 2-1 Warwick. How about you, Didi?
Ooh, you know what? I think Portsmouth, they can take this 2-0. If they can dictate the pace of the game, then it would be them taking it. But I'm still going to go with Warwick. I think they're going to take it 2-0 as well. I believe in their experience. So I'm making it 2-0, you make it 2-1. And now we are off to a good start, more or less. This is going to be so good to see who will win this one. As they just head out to each other. Devil DF getting all the information right here in this game and now know where everyone from Warwick is heading.
And they're heading straight towards that A-bomb site. Couple of missed shots from Devil DF makes things awkward for the time being as the rotation starts to come through. Hass has taken control of the site. JB's on a fast rotate if required, but for the time being, Devil a little bit isolated by this long take from Warwick. They have so much map control to work with. Jamie, of course, on that P250, not scared to take the long-range engagements. And as Warwick feel they've dragged that rotation in towards A, they head back down the connector and they look to change things up. K-Neil incredibly aggressive over on the Portsmouth side of things. He's got control almost the entire way into T-spawn here, so a very difficult push out coming through for Warwick.
Yeah, well, it's smart for them to try and just do something else here in this round. You know what? They made a fast push, but Cahill is pushing very far up. Old Shannon and Haas will get some kills onto M underscore FX, but Joss and Jamie, they're onto the bomb side, and suddenly Warwick, they haven't planted the bomb yet, and they're getting shot from every single angle. Haas comes in and takes down Jacob, but the bomb, sorry, did go down, ladies and gentlemen. I said something wrong, but nevertheless, Portsmouth, they get their first round.
A little bit overthinking it, I think, from Warwick. We saw Portsmouth, of course, doing what they do best, getting crazy aggressive. K-Neil pushing almost the entire way into T-spawn. And Warwick, perhaps guilty of overthinking it and just making it a little bit too easy, will allow Portsmouth to pick up the rifles into round 2. But it looks like the force fire is going to come out after that bomb got put down.
Oh, well, you know what? This is definitely going to be helpful here for the side of Portsmouth having those weapons. But, you know, I liked what Warwick they tried to do here in this round, getting into a slow-paced round, getting just all the information that they could. But obviously, Portsmouth, they are aggressive and they love to play this way.
And here's some of that pace control we saw from the Warwick has-beens. Jamie getting an early pick onto JB in towards that B bomb site, looking to drag the rotations as Josh, the Deagle in hand, takes down the M4 of Haas. This is leaving Devil in a very awkward position. Just that scout to work with, trying to be proactive up towards long. Might just want to grab himself that M4 and get out of this site, because this is going to get very, very awkward. Deagle in hand, he's got to lock down this A bomb site almost single-handedly as Olsen Dan starts his rotation in Devil, looking to get aggressive, spots the first, takes down Josh. That's the Deagle down, recovers the M4A1 as well. How important could that be? Still rifles up on the Warwick side of things, though. 3 of them, and the P250 for Jacob as they look to line up this A execute. Somewhat smoked off. That's a tongue twister and a half, but backing off of things as the bomb makes its way out along. And where will they look to hit here, Warwick? They have map control. There's no aggression yet from Portsmouth towards B. They could look to dive down connector, and that's exactly what they're doing. Somewhat getting so much information. Going to flash himself out of connector, starting to push around the corner, clearing Phoenix. And this is where it's going to get awkward for Portsmouth as Olsen Dan's tagged up towards A, and that's going to rotate them straight back out. The Deagle goes in early with Jacob. He's got the scout in hand, but close up, he wants the spammable Deagle. Olsen Dan on the site, has to hold it down, can't get anything. And now the rotations are going to be so late. Devil has to try and get this one before the bomb goes down. But as the plant comes through, he finds the first. Jacob trades it out. And this force buy is looking absolutely brilliant for Warwick.
Yeah, this is very doable for Warwick, but Neil comes in, gets 1 kill onto Jacob. 2 still left to go for. Spots 1, gets 1, now down to 2 health. Could this be it? Goes for the fake, but not enough. Number 6, pulling out, waiting. Someone pushes up and gets that kill onto Neil. So a good round here for Warwick. Great force buy.
So close, but not quite enough for K-Neil. Looking for his first clutch of the game, but couldn't quite find it. Gets taken down by the last man. At the very least, he's made it expensive for the Warwick has-beens, but you can see how many rifles they invested in Portsmouth. That's just had such a difficult effect on their economy. We see the D-Eagles, the 5.7s, couple of scouts to try and do some damage, but 4 AKs and a Galil they're coming up against, it's going to be very difficult as Warwick, again, looking to take early control of long, forcing those scouts of JB and Devil off the angle as JB, he wants this second peek and somewhat punishes. The tag through the wall is not quite enough.
And now Warwick, they're moving up. Now they have control over here. They have all the control in the world they could need, but MFX gets a kill onto Has as well, so suddenly Warwick, they're starting to really make it work here on overpass. And you know what? With them having all the control of the upper park, they're just going to be slowly pushing in. Old Sandon, obviously, for Portsmouth, they didn't really have any weapons to work with, but still, giving all this control over to Warwick didn't really help them a lot.
And of course, they'd forced into this round, so the economy is absolutely busted at this point. Olsen Dan just trying to hold an angle, perhaps save himself a rifle at the end of the day. Keep one of those AKs to himself, just put a little bit more economic damage onto Warwick, who've come through this force buy from Portsmouth in far better condition than their opponents. As we see, all 5 players still left alive, utility still on 3 of them. This is exactly how Warwick would have wanted to get into this first half on their map pick. Of course, they're starting to just show why they picked Overpass and perhaps why they banned Train.
Well, to be fair, they're also starting to show why they are the best team perhaps in the NUEL for forever. They are just playing with so much experience right now, taking it slow and steady and calculating every single risk here in this game. Now, Wolfie, for Portsmouth, they have to lose. Well, they have to try to win this next round, or just do a lot of damage over to Warwick, because Warwick, they're starting to build up a lot of economy right now. They have 3,000 or more or less every single member, AK-47s, one Galil, and then utility and everyone. So it's going to be hard. But Portsmouth, that's what they need to do in order to just try and give themselves the edge moving into the next round, where they can finally buy up.
And a heavy stack of that A-bomb site and connector from the USPSs, but it's not going to be coming to fruition as Warwick head towards that B-bomb site. A lovely read by them. It's just going to be MFX sent down into connector to hold, and as these pistols
Oh,
start to
this is
push,
so
should be
smart.
an absolute field day. A couple of early sprays, looking for more, grabs himself the third, the fourth. MFX on for the ace against this eco, grabs the Glock as Olsen Dan takes the tags. He is desperate to get it as well, just looking to hunt this 5-7 down in connector. With the Galil, he can afford to do that, will be taken down after the quad kill. Jacob trades it out, but it is only the Galil dropped, and with 8 grand in the bank, MFX and Warwick, they're not going to care about this.
Oh no, you don't care about a small Galil. They could care more about the AK-47s, but they don't lose that. And now Portsmouth, that is not exactly the round that they needed Wolfie. We said they needed to at least destroy a few members inside of Warwick. They don't get that, and this best of 3 series is looking very good to begin with here for Warwick, but this is a fast push. They know that weapons are inside of Portsmouth, but limited utility, and Warwick, they just move in, just takes down NUEL and JB.
Olsen Dan left alone to try and lock down this B-bomb site, but Warwick have got the better of Portsmouth. Their excellent use of utility across the board, and out of nowhere, Portsmouth find themselves in a 5 versus 2 situation. Haas and Devil DF, there is nothing more they can do but try and save those 2 rifles, try and keep the economy at least halfway balanced over on the Portsmouth side of things, because again, Warwick are more than likely to survive with 5 rifles alive, the majority of their utility still on the board, and with somewhat already on 6.5 grand, their economy is just going to start to swell, and it's so early to be saying that in the first half.
Oh, it certainly is, Wolfie, but Warwick, they've been playing so intelligently so far. Like, they just moved so fast here in this round, knowing that Portsmouth, they could just buy up, but that their utility would be limited, and there's no way that they could be blocking off the fast push from Warwick. They had a few flashbangs, a few smoke grenades, but they needed frag grenades, they needed incendiaries, and they didn't have that because they had to spend their money on weapons. And now Warwick, they can go fast again because there's no money on the side of Portsmouth.
Olsen Dan opting to get aggressive this time with the Deagle, wants to be proactive. This is how Portsmouth have played so far this split, but Warwick, they're already on the bomb site. The AKs are already looking to swarm as Jamie finds Olsen Dan and Josh takes down NUEL. It's all on JB. He grabs himself the double, but the trade is instantaneous. At the very least, the rifles are still up for Portsmouth. Do they go for this?
This is very doable now for Portsmouth. Double rifle on the side of Haas and Devil. They have utility as well. So Warwick, with Jamie nearly being dead, this could be their round.
Starting to push into the site. Haas and Devil DF, that utility could be so crucial. They need to flash themselves in. They need to make the best of it. 2 players for Warwick bailing from the site as Devil finds the early pick onto Somewhat. Now they need to start peeking it. The bomb is planted beautifully for short, but the smoke will keep them out a while. MFX takes down Devil. It's all on Haas. 1v2. He baits out the first player, looks for the second, finds the spray, but the time is not there.
Way!
Portsmouth so close, but with no defuse kit, no dice.
This is such a feels bad, man, Wolfian. Now look at Warwick. Everyone is above $10,000. Like, Warwick, they don't care that they lost that round. They got another one on the board. Portsmouth were able to kill everyone. But Warwick, they are the ones that cash in the check.
And that is the consequence of not having a built economy. Don't be a loser, buy a diffuser, but Haas doesn't, and it's all too easy. Warwick just had to sit off the site. As soon as that bomb goes down, it's literally 30 seconds for Portsmouth to retake the site. They don't leave themselves enough time, and now JB needs to start to pull off some miracles with the AWP. Warwick looking to execute out towards long, but a missed shot early on allows Josh to take that map control away. He can dodge the flashbangs, and Devil in the support really needs to find a frag here. Misses a couple of shots. Pops the flash, but doesn't look to re-peek. Again, Warwick are getting early map control.
And now this is a problem here for Portsmouth. We said you can't give up control over the map to Warwick. At least they take down the orb on the side of Warwick, so that's Jacob getting killed. But you know, as we said, you can't give map control over to Warwick. If they get map control, they're going to be just slowly choking you out. And now Portsmouth, we also said that they needed to just make this game play to their pace. They're not doing that right now. They're not being allowed to do so because Warwick have built up such a good economy. Wolfie, this is looking bad here for Portsmouth, but if they can win this round, they can start getting in the right direction.
And they do have plenty of utility on that B-bomb site. Olsendanen has to hold it down. They need to use their utility, and they do so now. The Molotovs and smokes rain into the site, but both players still alive for Portsmouth. For the time being, they can try and lock this one down. Olsendan gets the collat. 2 easy frags to open things up. 4v2 now for Somewhat and Jamie. This would really be rolling back the years as Somewhat desperately trying to make his way out. He's clearing out Heaven, and he has managed to get to the site. Grabs the early pick onto Haas, but he's being surrounded. Jamie manages to grab a refrag, but it's 1v2 now. An AWP and an M4 still up for the CT side. One of them's been spotted out, but time is not the favourite of Jamie anymore. He has to back off of this. 5 seconds left. No chance to plant the bomb. He'll get the 1 frag, but JB not interested at all, and it will be a second round. It will be Portsmouth starting to bring up their own account. The economy, though, it's so strong for Warwick.
It certainly is. So even though they just lost a round, Warwick can buy up once again. And Wolfie, the thing that went well for Portsmouth in this round was that they were able to just make it such a fast-paced round. They were able to attract the attention of Warwick on multiple spots on the map, and it meant that Portsmouth, they wasted so much time of Warwick, and therefore Warwick, they couldn't get onto the bomb site, and they ended up losing. So now, even though Portsmouth, they won, they had to do it again. And that's going to be a big problem, but Devil is pushing up so far. Could come around for the flank here on the upper park.
Has got a perfect timing for this long flank as well as he starts to swing wide. No idea, Warwick. The spray is whiffed, but at the very least, MFX is taken down. The AWP misses the shot for Jacob. Devil is just making a nuisance of himself out towards long. He's split the Warwick offense for the time being, and he's still got utility. He can buy so much time from this advanced position. Nobody's there to clear him out for Warwick. Devil, he is all alone, but he is buying so much time for the CT side. The Molotov forces the team off, but Somewhat, meanwhile, is just starting to make his way out onto that A bomb site. JB, this is complete chaos, but he'll still get the frag onto Somewhat. And now a 4 versus 3. Warwick with very limited map control. They have no information about Devil's position, and it's really down to Jamie to just try and unlock this B bomb site almost single-handedly here.
But this is exactly what Portsmouth they need to do. Attract the attention of Warwick on multiple spots on the map. Force them to waste their time, and that's what they're doing right now. Warwick, they're playing chase here with Devil. They have no idea where he is, and suddenly Warwick, they're down to 30 seconds, and they're still not on a bomb site, and their utility is starting to get limited, Wolfie. But NUEL, that's a very good position over towards construction, but up through Monster, we do see the likes of Warwick come, but they're just gonna get shut down. Josh and Jamie both dead already.
All's too easy, and the AWP, last one alive, will be taken down. The double peak, a little bit too much for Jacob as NUEL finishes things off. Portsmouth get their third, and they save the double AWP setup, and how strong is that on overpass? That double AWP setup can be make or break for a CT side.
It certainly can, and now for Portsmouth, with them getting that double up setup, they can now play to the pace of Warwick. There's no reason to go aggressive when you have that double up setup. Set one over towards Monster, have one over towards the upper park, and just make it so that it's going to be hard for Warwick. But Warwick, they push up through Monster, and here we go.
Oh, the fast play into the B bomb site. The missed smoke has led to the death of NUEL as his teammate Haas falls. It's all onto Olsendan. Very aggressive in towards Phoenix. He at least manages to find one, but 4 versus 3 now. This is starting to look awkward. JB manages to get the first frag. Lovely pop flash, but somehow Jamie, fully blinded, still finds the frag. 3 on 2. Devil again in the back will manage to find at least a refrag for the first. 2 on 2. 2 on 1 as the AWP gets a little bit too aggressive. It's all on Devil, the key man in the last round, but this time it's a little bit too much. Warwick do get their 6th. They still have plenty of economy behind them. And look at the money on Portsmouth. It is at breaking point.
It certainly is. And we said that Warwick, they have so much experience, Wolfie, so they can just learn new tricks as the old dogs. They can come in and show with their experience that they know how to play different styles, and they're showing that right here and right now. They can play it slow. That's what we saw in the start of this series, but now they're making it just fast-paced. They're taking the fight to Portsmouth, and they're saying, if you want to play with fire, then we can fight with fire as well. Come in, fast push, AK-47s on everyone, and they could do that once again because Portsmouth, as we said, look at their economy. They can only buy up pistols and one AWP on the side of Devils, so if they can land those shots here, then this would be their round. But against Warwick, it's just going to be so hard with full utility, full body armor and head armor and AK-47s.
That AWP on Devil getting very aggressive early on has to go. Absolutely huge for the CT side. Misses the early shot. Falls back on the angle. Now it's up to JB. Up close and personal to find the frags. He'll grab the early one onto Jamie. 5v4, 5v3 as Haas grabs one with the 5-7. And now the remainder of Warwick are left scrambling. They've got to make their way up long so quickly here and try and get onto this site before the AWP can recover. A missed shot from Devil gives them half an opportunity. Josh will take the first as they look to swarm, but JB instantaneously refrags. Somehow Jacob grabs one in the midst of that madness, and the bomb is going to go down 2v2. AK up on K-Nil, but Haas is still stuck on that 5-7, and that's going to make this incredibly difficult as range as Warwick. They've planted this bomb perfectly. They're not even going to head into the crosshairs of that CT side. Backing off towards the bank. They've got the bomb planted for them as Haas recovers the MP9. Very limited utility for Warwick, however. The Molotov is good. Lovely headshot from Josh to take down Neil, and it's all on Haas. An MP9, a smoke and a flash. He drops the smoke. He sticks the bomb, spraying through. Warwick miss a few shots. Haas comes off the bomb and grabs himself a frag. He sticks it the second time, goes wide, but Jacob trades him out 7-3. Warwick just about recover against the force buy.
Oh, yeah, Portsmouth, they are able to really just fight back against Warwick. Warwick, they need to start playing a bit more conservatively. They need to make it really clean, Wolfie. And you know what? I like what Portsmouth they're doing. While they are losing these rounds, they're making them close. And they're definitely just coming at Warwick has-beens. So, this is still doable. They can change it up in the second half. And if they can just start to get a few rounds, get at least 1 or 2 more in this second half, then I think it's been fairly successful for Portsmouth. Because right now, they're trying Warwick out, and they're definitely winning out some of these duels.
Lovely use of the AWP by JB again out towards long, finding that opening pick, putting Warwick in this 4v5 situation, and they have been struggling to convert so far in this matchup because they do have the 4-round lead. They don't have much economy to play with anymore. Portsmouth have done an incredible job of whittling that down, but can the double AWP setup come through here? It's such a heavy economic investment over on that CT side. And you can see with a very aggressive setup towards long, it's just Neil alone on that bomb site, trying to get the information, jump peeking the angles. This is such an interesting setup on the CT side. It does leave you with a lot of potential to swing from that long position as now Warwick look to strike. They're heading up short, but there's so much presence towards long. JB grabs the opening frag, and now they start to swing. Jamie does find the refrag at the very least, but that AWP is still up.
Oh my gosh,
somehow, somewhat gets a kill. Double comes out from Devil on that UMP. The bomb is dropped. It is all onto somewhat. 1 versus 3. He starts to push out towards the dumpster. He needs to find the frags, and he will isolate the first. Looks for the second player. Can't quite connect with the head of Haas, and that starts to make things awkward as Devil, he's still stuck on that UMP and towards Divider. Somewhat knows he needs to find that frag with 20 seconds left, but Devil, the third kill of the round on that UMP, single-handedly anchoring it down for Portsmouth.
Somewhat could have stepped up huge in that round. Definitely were able to take down JB. That was amazing, but the rest of Warwick, they just crumbled apart. They crumbled around somewhat, and it certainly just wasn't that round. And now the economy of the side of Warwick has been completely just swapped around. Now Portsmouth are the ones in the lead, but 4 pistol round is coming in, and Warwick, they're moving fast.
Straight through that smoke, looking for the frags, but Devil is doing a brilliant job of covering his teammate. Just the 1 frag for Jacob. There's still a CT player here, and you can see Jacob knows it, not able to find him. JB tidies up house, and only losing the 1 player against that kind of a half fight, that's a risk the CT side are willing to take. They're happy to drop the 1 player. They secure the round, and it's looking like they've got a good chance of a comeback here on the CT side.
Well, Warwick, as I said, they didn't want to give Portsmouth 2 more rounds. A successful first half for Portsmouth would have been to get 5 rounds. Now they're on the brink of getting a 6. They could even move further up and get 7. It's the Warwick. Now is the time to really get to that dominant point. They need to start winning a few more rounds here. They want to be the ones really ahead of the pace here on their map pick. But Neil and Old Sandon are coming in hard. As takes down somewhat. Now it's up to Jamie and to MFX.
The crossfire is a little bit too good for Warwick at the moment, but they have managed to scramble into a 2-on-2 situation. Still JB and Devil, 2 of the star players so far from Portsmouth, and they're both towards this B-bomb site. Bomb is dropped in the open, and Warwick with very limited utility to try and make a play here. You can see MFX desperately trying to push in from short. He's trying to find any kind of information. Devil's still alive and kicking in the water, and somehow both Warwick players win the aim duels. Both Warwick players find the frags, and Warwick find a round that they had no business winning.
Yeah, this was not supposed to be Warwick's, but they are able to find those shots, land them on Portsmouth. They went so well onto that bomb site, made it into a 2 versus 2. And honestly, for Portsmouth, that was the ideal setup of a round for them. They were able to get so many duels. It went down to a 1 versus 1 against more or less every single member. And in the end, a 2 versus 2 is exactly what Portsmouth they want. But Warwick, they have shown that those players, they are so incredibly good. And right now, especially MFX is sitting on top of the scoreboard, more or less inside of Warwick, and is certainly carrying a hard load here for Warwick.
And somewhat manages to take down the AWP of JB very early on in the round. That heavy investment not working out for the CT side again, leaving them with just 2 rifles remaining on the board. Portsmouth, did go for that heavy stack towards the B-bomb site. Doesn't work out on this occasion. Warwick just out-reading them there to hit the A-bomb site early on. Isolate the AWPer, but Devil, he's not done with this yet. Grabs the frag on the Deagle, drops the Deagle, grabs the AWP, and hightails it back to the site. So now there's 3 rifles for Portsmouth. Now there's half an opportunity, and you can see Warwick, they're just so confused by that. They've just lost the man who was anchoring down that A-bomb site, not looking too sure where to execute here. The has-beens, as they are starting to stack up yet again towards B, and that's where most of this CT presence is. So going to be a very difficult take for the Warwick side as they look to push up now. Short-term monster control established. Can Devil lock this one down with the AWP? Beautiful flashbang for Jamie to find the first. The trade not quite there as Hass is taken down. It's all on NUEL. He doesn't have much health to work with and he's being brought low, but look at the health of those Warwick players. Everybody on low HP. NUEL finds the first, looking for more. Hightailing it around the site as Devil wall bangs onto Jacob. The bomb planter is down. 2 on 2. 2 on 1. NUEL is looking to do this all by himself, and he'll find the last frag as well. Those tags so important as Portsmouth once again find a round that they had no business winning. 8-6 the scoreline, and this is beginning to look like a great CT half.
And, well, honestly, a great series as well, Wolfie. It's going back and forth between these two teams. And Warwick, they were off to such a good start, but now this is the last map of the first half. They need to win this. They can't afford to give one more up. Because 7-8 would not do justice to what Warwick they did in the start of this first half, and it would not do justice to how well Warwick they have been performing. But they've also fallen off, and they need to now pick up the slack. They can't afford to give Portsmouth a 7th round.
And the issue here for Warwick is their buy is not great at all. They've got 2
They have no
AKs,
utility
a
as
scout,
well,
and a couple of Deagles to try and do it. So much firepower over on that Portsmouth side of things, and they could just look to lock Warwick out here as they are single-handedly committing to this B-bomb site. They have no presence towards A. They are looking absolutely one track, but as Portsmouth start to bleed their utility out, they are buying so much time.
They need to land those shots. All they have is 2 flashbangs, 1 smoke grenade. Now they need to land those shots. Josh goes down, so that's already off to a bad start. But Warwick, they have to push in, get 2 kills, and suddenly someone is the only one left alive. Goes down, and 7 rounds goes into the hands of Portsmouth as NUEL just steps up in that round. Warwick, they had no utility. They couldn't go in. They couldn't play to their standard of just slowing things down. So you know what? It's going to be such a good half here for Portsmouth, winning 7 rounds. And suddenly, Portsmouth are looking like a team that could take this 2-0. If we go to Mirage and Portsmouth, they win Overpass, then we're not going to go to Nuke. That is not going to be a possibility because Portsmouth, they are so good on Mirage.
The individuals are showing up for Portsmouth. The win conditions are starting to be ticked. NUEL having a blinder of a game so far. Devil DF looking absolutely huge as well. And what I really love from them, I'm going to say this now, they're using their pauses. They didn't do this in the semi-final, and that was where they struggled. They didn't control the pace. They're using their pauses, and they're doing it now. And as they head into this T-sided pistol, they can start to feel confident.
But you know what? For this side of Portsmouth, having just 3 players that you can definitely rely on makes so much sense. And it really gives you a lot of tools to work with in a grand final. But talking about tools to work with, you know what, Portsmouth, they don't have to use anything. They're already onto the B-bomb side. And Warwick, they've completely given up all of this area. Now they're taking those duels, but Josh, they're not winning. No one is going down, but Olsana pushes in with that Glock, takes down Josh, Devil DF takes down someone, and suddenly all the control over the B-bomb side and the walkway is in the hands of Portsmouth. Warwick, this is not going to be their round as Devil DF takes down MFX.
Down to Jamie and Jacob to really pull off a miracle retake here. 3v2. You can see the first player spotted out, but JB somehow wins the duel, and now it's all on to Jamie. 3 versus 1. No defuse kit to work with either. That's
Jamie,
all the way
behind,
in
mate.
the hands of the T side. He can't hit any of his shots here. The knife almost comes out. The trade is there, however. It is going to be 8 apiece. The draw is in already, and Portsmouth, they get off to a blinding start in the second half.
Devil DF came in with the style punch, tried to go for the knife. It didn't work out, but you're definitely right, Wolfie. 8-8. Warwick, they had a good start to this series. They had a good start to their own map, but they've fallen far from grace. Now it's down to whether or not they can really pull through, because they no longer have an insurance. They no longer have an advantage. Warwick, they're pushing up fast. Can they find a single kill? I don't think so, as JB with that Galil takes down Josh, and suddenly Warwick, they have to regroup and look over towards tracks, look over towards Monster. Warwick, they've given up all control of that area.
Going for the good old eco rush fountain, but only the one player really committing to it, and Josh goes down. Now a 4v5. It really is difficult for these pistols to find anything, and Portsmouth are playing this one perfectly. Haas holding back into connector, hits the headshot, takes down MFX, and now 5v3. This is really just an exercise in not losing those rifles over on the Portsmouth side of things. The Mac 10s of Devil DF and Olsen Dan could do with a little bit of a money farm here, and they may look to use those to isolate the pistols. But if they keep 4 or 5 players alive, they keep all those rifles on the board, Portsmouth will be very happy with this round. And you can see them just starting to group into this hit towards the B-bomb site, spotting out a couple of players. It is going to be NUEL pushing in early on. Haas finds himself a second and a third in the round, and this is a very efficient cleanup from Portsmouth. This is what we like to see from them. They are very frag heavy, but sometimes they can look a little rough around the edges. This is looking clinical from the Portsmouth side, as it is just Jacob remaining. That USPS is going to get nothing done. All 5 players kept alive for Portsmouth. 3 rifles kept on the board. That is absolutely clinical, and Warwick have to bite back here.
They certainly have to, and you know what? I could expect Portsmouth come in with a big rush. They still have those... what's it called? Your SMGs in hands. You still have those, the Mac 10. So obviously, with those in hand, you could go in fast. You could go in and just say, Warwick, this is our bomb site, and you have no reason to be here. But instead, Portsmouth, they still go slow. They still go steady. And this is actually looking very beautiful. It's nice to see Portsmouth being able to adapt to what Warwick they're doing as well. We said that old dogs, they can learn new tricks, but apparently new dogs, they can learn more tricks.
Lovely execute early on to try and isolate the M4s. Jamie takes a couple of tags through the smoke. He's been spotted out, but this is a nice crossfire for Warwick, unless Jamie goes down, and that he does. JB manages to take out his own teammate. Finally, the trade comes through. Somehow, Warwick almost come off the better in that. 3-on-3. Headshots raining in on both sides, but now the A-bomb site's looking a little bit isolated. It's all on MFX. He can't get it done. 3-on-2. There's tags to work with, but for Josh and Somewhat, without that defuse kit, they've got to get going now, trying to push into that bomb site. They have dumps to control. Josh with half a gap in the smoke, but Portsmouth are giving them nothing, just falling back, playing beautifully passively. They have so much utility to burn here. The T side, the Molotovs come out, Somewhat's trying to clear in towards truck, but nobody from Portsmouth is peeking anything. They are waiting for the bomb, and that is the perfect play. Josh manages to find JB, at least that's something, but he's brought low, and now as the smoke goes onto the bomb, Warwick need a miracle. The swing comes wide. Haas gets the first, Somewhat low HP in the smoke. There we go. Olsen Dan finally with the spray. And Portsmouth, they're starting to accelerate. And don't forget, this is Warwick's map pick.
It could have been Warwick that could have won that round. They had tagged everyone inside of Portsmouth, but you're definitely right, Wolfie. This is looking bad for Warwick. It is their map pick, and it's not looking like they could win this map as way the things are looking right now. Look at the economy of Warwick. It's completely shattered. They have a full loss bonus, so at least they can get some money into their pockets, but that is going to be for the next round. Right now, they're going to go down another round unless they can really find something with those deagles that they have in hand. And Warwick, they've not been looking too hot. They've not been looking too steady in the last few rounds. So landing shots, well, MFX can definitely land shots.
That is what we wanted to see. MFX rolling back the years as he takes the head off of Devil early on. And this is where these Deagles can start to become punishing. You can see the T-side are a little bit wary now. They've taken a couple of warning shots. Jamie not quite connecting with that one. They've lost the man. They need to be clinical here, Portsmouth. We talked about this earlier. They were clinical against the earlier Eco with just the one P250. Can they do the same against these Deagles? Mac 10 recovered onto Josh as well. Gives a little bit of extra firepower over to that CT side as Portsmouth start to converge towards the A-bomb site. The bomb's making its way through in towards Party. They need to try and take advantage of the range here, Portsmouth, and they're going to do just that. Taking the long control, NUEL, the AWPer to back him up, but it's MFX on this A-bomb site. We've seen what he can do with the Deagle already, and could we be about to see something a little bit miraculous here? He's holding the angle, and they're going to walk right into him. The gun barrel has been spotted out. The shadow's giving it away. MFX swings wide, grabs himself the first, can't quite find the second, falls back off the angle, but you can see that AWPer in such an awkward position, finally finds the frag, but there we go. Jamie lying in wait, drops the bomb, 3v2, and Portsmouth are stuck on the site. They have to try and retrieve that bomb immediately, but Jamie's lying in wait. The M4 finds a frag, and it's all on Jame B. 8 seconds left on the clock. There's nothing more he can do. Gun down in the back. Here we go. Warwick, that is what we wanted.
Well, Warwick coming in from multiple different flanks will be enough to take down Portsmouth. And honestly, Warwick, they played this so smart. Having MFX go aggressive with that Deagle, getting 2 kills early on before Portsmouth could get onto the bomb side, meant that suddenly you bought so much time for yourself and wasted so much time in Portsmouth so that they could not get onto the bomb side very successfully. But it's the fast push now coming up through the pipe here for Portsmouth. They are already onto construction. But will they move up towards the B-bomb side? That's going to be the big question, because now Warwick, they have weapons, they have utility, and they have all the overwatch over the B-bomb side. Look right here. You can see how everyone from Warwick are slowly moving up towards the B-bomb side. Only one player that will be Jamie over towards the upper park can rotate around really quickly and come in and just cut Portsmouth down from behind if needed. And that is a very unfortunate grenade.
Lovely use of utility over on the Warwick side of things. You've got to imagine they've predicted that. We saw the slightly comical jump peak coming in a second ago from Portsmouth, and that gives so much information over to the Warwick side of things. But somehow, Olsen Dan's stolen a kill through wood, and that's going to mean go time over on the T side of things. Somewhat fully blinded, has to find this frag, can't do so. It's all on MFX. He only grabs the first. Haas is there to trade things out, and now it's 4 versus 2. This looks so good for Warwick, but all of a sudden, they're in a do-or-die situation. Jamie on the fast flank can't get anything done. That is the vintage NUEL we wanted to see, and Jacob, he has to save the AWP. Portsmouth will extend their lead to 2, and they are now just 5 rounds away from stealing this map.
They are, and for Warwick, they could not afford to lose that player early on. That was exactly what went wrong. They had all the control. Now they also lose Jacob, but they had all the control over the bomb site that they needed. They just had to wait time out, wait for Portsmouth to come in and push onto them, because they had players literally everywhere. They had players on Sniper, they had players on Walkway. They were ready for this push, but instead, they just lose that one member early on, and that meant that they had a man disadvantage. So Portsmouth, they could go, but now Warwick, they're coming in with some desperate measures. That's a auto shotgun on Josh.
Oh, finds a frag as well, looking to get more done. This is where it can be absolutely lethal. The CZ and auto shotgun combining for frags, and the pistols, they're just isolating the 1v1s. Portsmouth are letting Warwick get away with murder here. They've even managed to grab themselves a couple of AK-47s as Olsen, Dan, and Haas are left scratching their heads as to how this play ended up happening. The pistols perfectly timing their aggressions, and you could see the confusion from Portsmouth. They were completely isolated. They allowed those 1v1s to come through, and now it's all down to Haas and Olsen, Dan. They have the utility, but there's AKs available alongside those pistols for Warwick as this push is going to start to head into the B-bomb site. Jamie is over on A, nothing he can do. Somewhat and Jacob to lock this one down for the time being. Those big fraggers for Warwick are not here. Can they hit their shots? Can Portsmouth find their way in? Haas clearing every possible angle, but both CT players currently hiding in towards water. The Deagle finds some good damage before he drops down. Haas takes down the rifle in the meanwhile, and he grabs a second. Somehow, Portsmouth are dragging this one back. A couple of mistakes, but they're not going to let that worry them. Now a 2-on-2. There's an AK and armor on Jamie, but he has everything to do. He has has to find the damage. There are tags to work with.
Has is in such a good position, and for Portsmouth, they still have some utility to work with. Double flashbang, 2 AK-47s, but they have been tagged. And Olsen then, after a good start, gets the kill onto Jamie, and Has comes in, cleans up everything, takes down Jacob. And Portsmouth, they steal a way around from Warwick.
Warwick were trying to go for that boost in towards CT, and they just were red. Olsen Dan had the angle pre-aimed, an easy headshot, and absolutely demolished. We will see, of course, the full buy coming in for Warwick, but they need a miracle now.
They do need a miracle. They need to win this round. They can't afford to lose this. If they do it, then that's just going to be them digging their own grave, and that's going to be the last nail in the coffin. If this happens, Wolfie, things will turn up sour for Warwick. They need the money. They have a full loss bonus, but they need rounds as well. And rounds are just the most important thing right now for Warwick, and they haven't been able to cash that in.
Utility fake comes out for the Portsmouth side of things. Warwick not buying, though. They've kept their players towards this A-bomb site, and now the execute starts to come through. Nice Molotov from Jamie will buy him some time. The T's desperate to get onto the site. Olsen Dan is burning alive. Low HP. Devil manages to find at least one frag, but here we go. MFX spinning around, grabs himself the double. Now a 4 versus 2 again, and this is going to be even more difficult to recover for the Portsmouth side of things. They have NUEL in towards short. He could try and isolate the divider fight against MFX, and he will do just that. The spray is just about there. JB now has to come into his own. He has to find some frags on that AWP, but Jacob peeking straight into the angle, hits an insane reaction shot, and that leaves NUEL all alone. 3 versus 1. Molotov and a couple of flashbangs to try and work with, but can he find anything here? He needs to find damage at the very least. Baits out the shot from the AWP, uses the Molotov to try and force him wide, but so many angles to cover, so little time. The AWP's just back straight out the molly, and there we go. Warwick will find themselves double digits, and this map is going back and forth like a yo-yo.
NUEL tried to go for a few kills right there to try and just completely isolate the economy on the side of Warwick. But for Portsmouth, they're not looking hard either. Look at their economy. Only 1 AK-47 on Old Sandon, and the rest will be on pistols. So Portsmouth, if they had saved that AK-47, they would have been way stronger moving into this here round number 23. But instead, if they go aggressive and they are able to find a few kills with those pistols, then this could turn up so good for them. Now here Has pushing up, but turning the back onto Jamie. That's going to be a good kill and a starter kill here for Warwick. So now everything is looking bad for Portsmouth as Josh also takes down JB and Devil DF, but Oltana comes in and takes down Josh, and suddenly we're off to a 2 versus 4, but a deagle in hand for NUEL, nothing stronger.
Almost a consolation frag early on for Olsen Dan, as he does manage to find just the one. Grabs himself a second as well, starting to make this at least a little bit interesting. But you can see that bomb is still trapped in towards shore. MFX has got that locked down for the time being. He's in towards Graffiti. He's covering that cross towards site. There is no way that Portsmouth are going to get over without use of that only smoke they have. And that's going to make things very, very awkward. NUEL wants to try and recover himself a gun here, but there's very little to be found. Trying to clear some angles at the very least with the deagle. He won't manage to hit the shot. Jamie drops the bomb, and it's all on Olsen Dan. He would need an ace here to win this, as the Molotov is dropped. They know exactly where he is. They are just looking to lock him out of proceedings here. He'll grab himself at least one kill. MFX just bailing out of that spray a little bit early, so perhaps half an opportunity here, but with 33 seconds left on the clock, this is going to be very, very difficult. Olsen Dan making his way into connector. He's got to try and find that bomb still, and with the smoke down, he has no information as to the CT positions. He's got to clear every single angle, spots the bomb, starts to get the information, starts to clear it. 15 seconds left on the clock now. He's got to hightail it to a bomb site, and he knows it. The CT is currently split between the two. Can they find this shot as the bomb goes down? He has time to plant it if he makes it straight to the site. The office is the shot. That will be the plant, and now there's half an opportunity. Olsen Dan, 1 versus 2, takes the tag through the boxes. He knows he has to find the shot early on. He has to isolate the 1v1s as he makes his way in towards Under Heaven. Half an opportunity here for the rifler to find the frags. He's actually just made a little bit of noise into water. I don't know if Warwick heard that. The utility is being thrown. They're not facing the fight. They're waiting for both players to be ready. Olsen Dan has it all to do here. Spots the head.
Oh my God,
takes the first
Olsen
headshot.
Dan.
Low ammo, though. He's not got many bullets left in that chamber. He has to play time. He has to play the bomb, and Warwick know it. Jumping down. Olsen Dan has played this perfectly. Surely not. He's on for the ace here. One player left. It's Jamie on the bomb, and there we go. What an ace from Olsen Dan. 13-10 Portsmouth. They needed that, and Olsen Dan delivers.
What the hell, Wolfie? Olsen Dan is on fire, taking down the entire team on Warwick. That was so well played. And suddenly, Warwick, they just got themselves perhaps the last nail into that coffin. Now they have no money at all. Portsmouth, they have an entire buy. Full grenades, AK-47s, armor, everything that you could want. This might just be Christmas Day here for Portsmouth because they could win this round. They could take down Warwick on their map pick. They are on the brink of doing that, and they're on the brink of perhaps winning the entire grand final of the NUEL's CSGO summer season.
We said Portsmouth needed a 2-0, and what a way to start it this would be. They have the advantage in terms of firepower. They have every advantage they could want, and they can be within 2 rounds of stealing Warwick's map pick here. They're heading towards A. NUEL hits the early shot, takes down Jacob. And now Warwick, they have to rotate so much presence. This is going to be very, very difficult. The CZ of somewhat manages to get one, but Devil instantaneously trades. Finally, MFX comes in, but look at these trades again on the T side of things. 3-on-2. The Deagle of Jamie is nowhere near the site. He has to try and link up with Josh, who's playing around the edge of that smoke, trying to find half an angle, but not finding much of anything here. Just starts to sneak out. Has a little bit of a position towards Bank here, but again, Portsmouth playing passively, waiting for the fights to come to them, and there we go. Devil and Olsen Dan, they clean up house. 14-10 to Portsmouth, 2 rounds away from stealing Warwick's map.
Fortunately for Warwick, they were able to take down a few of the members on the side of Portsmouth, though it was a very costly round for Portsmouth. But overall, Warwick, they have no economy. This is a do or die time. Do or die time? That's what I'm trying to say, Wolfie. Warwick, they need to win this. They can't afford to lose. They have the weapons, but they need to land those shots. And there we go. Now it starts with Jacob going down. JB might have just sealed the death sentence here for Warwick.
4v5 again for the Warwick has-beens, but Josh manages to equalize things, grabs the second, drops the bomb on bridge. That could be absolutely huge. You see the rotations flooding in from the CT side, and now Portsmouth are in a very awkward position. NUEL and JB are going to have to go absolutely huge, making their way out of the monster, trying to find any kind of an angle on this CT side, but somewhat swings wide, grabs the first. Somehow JB trades it out. 3 versus 2 all the same, and with Europa on 2 HP, has to be the instigator here. He has to find so much. The Molotov's going to keep him out the site a while longer, and that's just allowing the CTs to set themselves. You can see JB, he wants to line up a wallbang. He's hoping for a miracle, not going to find anything though. And 3 versus 2, you've got to back Warwick to finish this one off. The last of the utility going to be deployed by Haas here as he looks to make his way into the site, trying to isolate any kind of a fight, but they have no information. Drops it. It's all onto Haas, finds the first, but that's all he'll get. And half a chance perhaps for Warwick to bite back, but they only saved the 1-all.
This was such a needed round for Warwick. That was a miracle. And you know what? Honestly, for Portsmouth, they can still do this. Look at Olsen Dan. So much money in his pocket. But Warwick, they buy up. Portsmouth, they say, no, we're going to just not buy up in this round. We have a big insurance. 3 rounds in the lead right now, so there's no reason for us to try and do anything crazy, try and force buy. So just get that AK-47 on Olsen Dan. Then we can play this out well. But Olsen Dan goes down early on. That's the AK-47 gone. Jamie going for those duels. Might be able to take down another one, but JB comes in from the side. NUEL actually will take down Jacob as well. So now it's down to a 3 versus 3. AK-47 and M4 in hand for Portsmouth. So overall, this is actually very, very doable, but only 2 flashbangs for them to work with. Warwick, a bit more, and an AK-47 and a scout. So, sorry, not AK-47, utility, AVP, scout, everything that Warwick they could kind of want at this point.
For Portsmouth, they've got their primary target in this round. They've taken down 2 Warwick players. They've done the economic damage very early on. The Deagle's working perfectly, and now they actually managed to recover onto a full rifle setup. They have 3 rifles to work with. Josh's very aggressive position is absolutely crucial here. He has to find multiple frags. He has to shut this down before it becomes any more expensive for Warwick, and he is in a perfect position to do so. If he's looking the right way, he's got to cover his angles, and he's going to do just that. Starts to swing, but he can't get the frag. And now there's an opportunity. The half buy for Portsmouth has given them a 3 versus 2. They have the firepower to make this work. MFX and somewhat a scout and an AWP to find these frags. Can they do it, Portsmouth? MFX grabs the first onto JB. Lovely tag. Somewhat follows it up. It's all on NUEL, and he's brought down with a tag from that scout. Can't find the frag. Finally, Warwick stabilized, but look at the economic damage done by Portsmouth.
This series, Wolfie, is just so crazily close. Portsmouth, they need 2 more rounds, but Warwick, they are on the brink of making that comeback. But fortunately for Portsmouth, they have saved up some weapons. They have a bank saving, and honestly, AK-47s in hand. This could be their round. They might just be crazy and go aggressive, but instead, they're moving up towards Playground, they're moving up towards Fountain, and they're gaining a lot of control. But Warwick, they have all the health in the world that they could want, and some of the Portsmouth members, they have been tagged. They are kind of low. And this definitely means some good tidings here for the likes of Jamie, who's sitting on an SMG.
Portsmouth looking to clear their way out in towards this A-bomb site. Still Jacob in towards Divider. Will actually win the opening duel. Lovely trade comes through from JB. And now the health starts to favour Portsmouth. And with this kind of a buy, you'd actually back Portsmouth on a 4-on-4. They have the bomb in their possession. They have utility to try and make the execute work as they start to head towards B. And look at how heavy this A setup is from that CT side. Warwick, they've got Mason alone towards that B bomb site. He has the AWP in his hand. He has to hit the shot here, MFX. He has to lock this site down. But all the while, Portsmouth, they're just heading straight on up. They're going to get this bomb plant 4 versus 4. Can Warwick find this retake? MFX up towards Heaven, going to be smoked out of it completely. That leaves somewhat on the scout to try and lock this one down early on. Look at this T-side's positioning. They have such a good after-plant scenario as somewhat desperately trying to clear the site with a scout. Jumps but misses it. And now this is looking all but impossible for Warwick. They're trying to head into the site. Somewhat finds one. Lovely trade by Devil. He falls back in towards J. 3-on-3. This CT side, they are running out of time. They do have defuse kits, but they need to find frags. Josh gets one. Beautiful double from Devil, and that will seal it. Map point Portsmouth, 15-12. They are 1 round away.
Warwick, they don't clear every single angle, and now Portsmouth, they are up. And honestly, Portsmouth, they're taking another pause. Wolfie, this is so smart from them. Take that pause, say, okay, we're on the brink of taking down Warwick. We're on the brink of winning their map pick. What do we need to do? And for Warwick, the answer kind of is, it's going to be hard. They have no money. Look at their economy. Everyone is more or less below 3,000. Portsmouth, they have weapons, they have utility, they have armor. Warwick, they have a scout.
Scout, a UMP, Deagles, and a CZ. The utility is being brought up to give them half a chance, but this screams Portsmouth, and if they take Warwick's map pick away from them, they're heading into their choice next. They have the perfect opportunity to hit all of those win conditions and take this series 2-0. They need to finish this here. Lovely Molotov early on, gets a little bit of tick damage. Warwick looking to get aggressive, trying to be proactive, but all the while, NUEL is just flanking around this situation. Devil DF gets traded early on, but NUEL is there to finish things off. Somehow, MFX hits a huge shot, but again, Portsmouth are in the right place at the right time. 3-on-2 now. A CZ and a Deagle is all that is left for the Warwick Has-Beens to try and lock this one out, to try and stop this map going the way of Portsmouth.
Deagle, CZ 75. That's all what you have to work with on the side of Warwick. 2 flashbangs as well, 1 smoke grenade. But ultimately, it comes down to, can Warwick find a miracle? Can they land those shots? Everyone moving up towards Upper Park right now from the side of Portsmouth. They have all the utility in the world that they could want. They have full health more or less on every single member, except NUEL, who's sitting on 86. Here comes the smoke grenades, and Warwick, they need to now land those shots. Josh, this comes down to you. Is this a hero moment?
Has to go absolutely huge. Misses the early flick, trying to isolate the fights, but that's going to allow the bomb to go down. The Molotov is going to keep him out of things all the longer. He only has that smoke and a flashbang to get back into this site. Somewhat will look to join him. Has to go through the Molotov, so the damage is being done before the fights are even taken. 3-on-2. Has gets the first. Portsmouth 3 versus 1 for Josh to save this for Warwick. He only has a Deagle. He can't get it done. Portsmouth take map 1, and they are halfway to winning the NUEL Summer Split 2019.
And remember, Wolfie, this was the map pick of Warwick. They lose their own map pick, and suddenly it comes down to Mirage. Can Portsmouth win their own map? Because if they can, then that is going to be absolutely crazy. And Warwick, they could fall 2-0 here in this final. We said it would be amazing for them to win one last time, but we also said Portsmouth, they are on the brink of bringing their own era around. And right now, they're not stopping.
And you have to remember how confident Portsmouth looked on Mirage in that semi-final against the Oxford Brooks Vipers. They looked absolutely stunning, and they will have to feel incredibly confident coming into this matchup. They've got to feel like they can take this, and they can win this split here and now.
They certainly can. And Wolfie, I can't wait to see what will happen here between Warwick and Portsmouth, because game number 1 was an absolute banger, and I'm sure Mirage will be close as well. But Portsmouth, they have now shown us that they can play Counter-Strike. Once again, we doubted them, but you know what? I should stop following my brain and just follow my heart, because you should never doubt Portsmouth.
Half a chance here for Portsmouth to steal this in 2 maps, and we will be back very, very shortly with map 2. We're going to take a brief break. Don't go anywhere, because this CS is not going anywhere either.
Drop them a coming, murderers. Me are the burning fire and natural born killer. When me bust into flame, watch out, some might sting ya. So turn it, I am make the bad boy bigger. When they come around, we all go on them. Listen to the word and the fire your cuts in the middle. When the flames get higher, put up your gun fingers. Return all of the fire, it's a bad man single, give a sign. Pull your gun finger trigger. 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 It's a bad man signal, give a sign. Pull your gun finger trigger. Me are the burning fire and natural born killer. When me bust into flame, watch out, some might sting ya. So turn it, I am make the bad boy bigger. When they come around, we all go on them. Listen to the word and they buy your cuts in the middle. When the flames get higher, put up your gun fingers. Return all of the fire, it's a bad man signal, give a sign. Pull your gun finger trigger. Gun finger trigger. Gun finger trigger. Gun finger trigger. Return all of the fire, it's a bad man signal, give a sign. Pull your gun finger trigger. Pull your gun finger trigger. Pull your gun finger trigger. It's a bad man signal, give a sign. Pull your gun finger trigger.
I'm sick and tired of the fighting. I've had enough of all the wars. Don't wanna think about it anymore. I'm tired of the feeling we are always heading for the door. So tell me if I say it loud, will you come alive? Will you hold me like you used to do? Tell me if I say it loud, will my heart's alive? Will it beat the way it did for you? If you wanna stay, let me know it. To the beach, come on over.
And it is do or die time for the Warwick Has-Beens. Portsmouth CFGO with the opportunity of a lifetime to win this new CSGO summer split here and now. What a first map, Devious.
It was so crazy, and we have a series on our hands. You know what, Wolfie? Portsmouth, they are on the brink of taking down Warwick 2-0. Warwick, a team that have won the NUEL so many times before. Suddenly, it's looking like their era is over, and Portsmouth, they are in.
It's a weird situation to find ourselves in because as much as it is do or die time for the Warwick Has-Beens, of course, if they lose this map, it is all over. You sort of feel like it's do or die time for Portsmouth as well. If they let this map slip from their grasp, they're heading to nuke. And then you think Warwick have a huge opportunity. So for both teams, this is the big time.
Yes, I can definitely agree with you, Wolfie. If this series goes to a third game, and if Portsmouth they lose their own map pick, I would be very surprised. But if it does, then it just means that suddenly Warwick they are back, and Portsmouth they must be completely destroyed after taking map number one, taking the map pick of Warwick, and losing their own map pick, then heading to Nuke, a map that Warwick they favor. Then it would be very hard for Portsmouth, I could imagine, to come back.
And they have to hit the ground running here. One of the things we really spoke about with this Portsmouth side was their slow starts to maps. Like in that semi-final, they really struggled, and they have struggled throughout this season. They've always come back,
Yes.
but those slow starts, I think Warwick are in a position where they could punish. So for Portsmouth, they've got to bring that intensity. They've got to come at this 100% from round number one. Otherwise, again, I think there's half an opportunity here for the Warwick Has-Beens.
Oh, well, I completely agree with you, but I must say, Portsmouth, as a team, the games that we've seen them play, Wolf, it's been all about them just warming up as well. And once they've played 15 rounds, 30 rounds, whatever, once they are warm, once they are ready to go, these guys, they don't stop down. They don't stop. So right now, Portsmouth, I think they're definitely ready to just take this against Warwick. And I think for Warwick, they need to find their stands here in this game. They need to be the ones really pulling up something new because Portsmouth, they are on fire and they're not looking to stop at all.
And I mean, you look at the stats for map one and they just say it all. One of the ones that really stands out to me looking at that first map is the headshot percentages of these two teams. Warwick are normally lethal. They had 2-3 players above 40% headshot rate. You look at the T side of things, Olsen Dan's on 52, Devils on 45, 63 for Neil, 31 for JB. They're hitting their shots. They're making these rounds count, and that is always absolutely huge because Warwick, they just looked like they were struggling to find that form. They struggled to bring back memories of 2018 in map one, and if they can't do it in map two, it is going to be all over before it's even begun.
But you do have to admire the fact that whenever Warwick they were able to win, they played together as a team and they just pulled rounds away from Portsmouth because they were able to have that clear teamwork heading the way for them. So now, even though you do mention all those stats, I will argue that when you look at the kills, overall, they are very even on the side of Warwick, and it means that everyone helps to carry. No one is really the star carry like you have on the side of Portsmouth, where Neil and Has were the ones doing so much work, and also Devil, of course. But it just means that Portsmouth, they are playing as single individuals. They can play as a team. We've seen that now, but they are playing more towards those single individual styles. Whereas Warwick, once they get going as a team, they win rounds.
And this map is a map where both playstyles can work to perfection. Mirage is a very puggy map, but it also has a lot of depth in it executes.
Yes.
Of course, everybody knows the A smokes, everybody knows mid, everybody knows B smokes. So there's an opportunity for Warwick to still bring that execute style of play that they love to play, the style of play that they want to bring to this matchup, and really weren't given the chance to do so on Overpass. They could bring that to Mirage, and then that will play into their hands perfectly if they can manage to take this series to nuke.
But now the objective for Warwick Wolf, it definitely has to be win this pistol round. You can't afford to give momentum or momentum, then it's going to be completely over for Warwick. So Warwick win this pistol round, and I like what they're doing, saying, okay, we know Portsmouth as a team are so extremely aggressive, so let's go for body armor. Let's say we can take the fight against them. Let's not try to control them. Let's not try to contain them. just go for those fights, go with the body armor, and that's what we're seeing right now. And somewhat, that's a dirty shot onto Has.
And now the retake starts to come through. Warwick has means they played retake onto this B-bomb site as the bomb goes down. NUEL actually steals a kill onto Jamie on the rotation. He dinks MFX and finds the frag as well. NUEL has single-handedly pulled this round in the favor of Portsmouth CSGO. Warwick now at a man disadvantage, trying to retake in towards this B-bomb site. It's going to be so difficult. Devil DF tight on the angle towards the right-hand side of the window. And now the push comes out. These frags are all too easy to find. Olsen, Dan, and Devil combined. The dinks are through. JB even chimes in with a frag of his own. And we spoke about how important it was for Warwick to win that first pistol. It's just gone completely wrong.
It certainly has. And we also must admit that for Portsmouth, they now have NUEL just stepping up to the plate. 2 kills. Devil got 1 as well. Olsen, Dan moving in from game number 1 as well, also got a kill. So for Portsmouth, they are on fire and they're not stopping down on their map pick. Now going crazily aggressive. AK-47, Mag-10s, everything they could want. They're looking to cash in here. Takes down someone. And now the rotation from Warwick coming in, but it's just USPs. So not a lot they can do against Portsmouth. But as we did mention, Wolfie, they needed to win round number 1. They didn't get that, and now this might just be Portsmouth winning another round for themselves.
Just going to start to farm the eco kills. Hass and JB combining. Those Mac-10s are building up so much cash. And it's a flawless round again from Portsmouth. They keep all 5 players alive. Yes, there were 4 Mac-10s. Yes, they probably wouldn't have worried about losing some of them. But they've just built themselves up such a healthy, better cash early on. And now Warwick have to invest. This round has to go flawlessly with the M4s.
I'm not a big fan of what Warwick they're doing right here. You know that there's going to be Mac-10s on the side of Portsmouth. You know that they will have the utility, so you need to make those those shots count here with those M4s. But a fast rotation coming in from Portsmouth. NUEL takes a kill down onto Josh. NUEL takes a kill down onto Jacob, and suddenly MFX is all alone, takes down NUEL. But Portsmouth, they already have the bomb plant, and Warwick, they're all alone on this bomb site. Nothing that they can do. They bought up, but their economy is already in shatters, and only 3 members left to play with here on the side of Warwick. This round certainly must be over. Donna does it, but Jamie actually pulls it back, and suddenly Olsen, Dan, JP, and Has, they're all low, and this is doable here for Warwick.
Without the defuse kit, Warwick have to go now. Somewhat finds 1, but JB from sight anchors it down with the triple kill, spraying at everything that moves. Warwick, they look like they had half a chance there, but they can't find anything. 3-0 Portsmouth. They can invest yet again, and Warwick, they've got to go down to the half by.
Yeah, and you know what? We have to say that fortunate for Warwick, they were able to do some economical damage to Portsmouth, but overall, what does it matter when you had a flawless round with 4 Mag-10s? It just meant that Portsmouth, they still have a bunch of money, and Warwick, they're down to Deagles, trying to land those shots, and you're not going to land them at all. Portsmouth, they're 100 B-bomb side, but somewhat, this could be your round! Gets the kill on to Olsen, Dan, but Has and NUEL, they make up for the fact that Olsen, Dan goes down by taking Jamie, MFX, and somewhat down.
At least a little bit of damage has been done by the CT side. Plenty of tags to work with. Jacob, in fact, grabs the kill onto Hass, capitalizing on Jamie's damage. And now 3 versus 2. There's still an M4 on Jacob. The Deagle of Josh is trying to do something, but Devil has got him covered. And now Jacob is just resigning himself to saving that M4. There is nothing more he can do here. It will be a 4th round for Portsmouth CSGO, and they are bringing relentless pace to map number 2.
Yeah, Portsmouth, they're not looking to slow down. A 4th round for them. Warwick, they need to start getting on the board. You can't afford to keep losing rounds here. You can't afford to bleed out against Portsmouth, a team that are all about momentum, that are just all about having good rounds and building that up on top of all the other good rounds that they've had. Now, a pause coming in from Olsen, and I think this is very, very smart, Wolfie.
Yep, they're not going to allow Warwick any opportunity. They're just going to pause, take stock. They've grabbed themselves that 4-0 lead. They are feeling fantastic. They've got the money to back this round up. You see JB, he's fully bought in. He has 10 grand to his name. He has so much cash in the bank. Warwick, they're investing super heavily into this round. They've gone for the double up setup. If Portsmouth can just find the strategy to break this, they are looking set for a stomp of a first half here.
Warwick, they need rounds. They need to get this now. And apparently, Portsmouth, they're using 2 pauses right here. So, as I mentioned before, I ended my previous sentences. Portsmouth, I like that they're taking these pauses, Wolfie. Right now, you're in the lead, but slow things down. Talk through what you need to do now because, yes, you're in the lead, but you want to keep being in the lead and just taking it slow, keeping a cold head, and keeping your team level-minded definitely means that you will have just a better advantage moving into these further rounds because you took the time to talk about how to approach the next few rounds.
Portsmouth are just taking the opportunity to control the pace of the game. And another pause has come in from Olsen Dan. He's just used 3 of their pauses instantly. I do wonder if there's any reason from this other than they just want to kill time. They just want to get Warwick, get their hackles up. Really, this is insane. Portsmouth, I mean, we talked about controlling the pace, but a minute and a half of pauses on the trot is just unheard of.
Well, you know what? As a team like Portsmouth who are all about momentum, this could also just end up biting them in the butt because you know what? If you have 1.5 minutes where you're not playing, that's an entire round. And honestly, it means that your momentum and having all of that adrenaline might have just run out of your system now. So Portsmouth, let's see if they made that time to good use. At least they're splitting out and looking for a lot of duels. So double up setup for Warwick, having Portsmouth split up is certainly what Warwick they would want.
Passive early round approach from the T side. You can see Devil just starting to explore his options towards top of mid. It is Jacob locking that down with the AWP. Misses the shot. Half an opportunity. Devil just opts to back straight out of that angle as his teammates make their way out of the A ramp. That Molotov going to force JB into a very awkward position. Has to jump up onto the top of Tetris. Mason takes the early fight. Finds the shot onto Olsen Dan. Now 5v4. Now there's a chance. Half a chance for the Warwick has-beens to steal this round away. The bomb is still making its way towards A. NUEL has been trusted to make noise towards the B bomb site here. JB takes the dink. The frags are going all the way of Warwick, and it's down to NUEL and Devil, 2 of the heroes for Portsmouth in map 1, but they are isolated. They are alone, and Devil's 3v1 with the bomb. He can get nothing done. NUEL 1v5. Can't find any frags. That is much, much better from Warwick, and perhaps that pause is just coming back to bite Portsmouth.
Oh, it certainly must have. Portsmouth, as we said, all about momentum. Now taking 1.5 minutes where you're not playing definitely removes that adrenaline from their system. Definitely removes that high that they were riding. And now Warwick, they're starting to build up their own economy. But still, on a 3 loss bonus, Portsmouth, they could keep them down if they are to win this round. They've at least fully invested, so AK-47's utility and an AWP in hand for Portsmouth does mean that this round could still be theirs.
Ooh,
JB pushing up so hard. Jamie looking for that, but JB with that peek through the smoke will take down Jamie. And JB now look good, picks up someone as well. Now that's the B bomb side completely open here for Portsmouth. JB, could he get another one? Could he get another one, Wolfie?
Just has to hold, and NUEL will do the rest of the work towards that A bomb site. You can see Warwick are in disarray as NUEL grabs himself a second. It's all on Jacob. 1 versus 5 with the AWP. At the very least, he finds himself 1 on the consolation frags, but he's completely isolated here in the kitchen. Can't grab the second. NUEL trades things out, and JB there has single-handedly unlocked the B bomb site for Portsmouth CSGO.
And JB single-handedly won that round as well. JB right now on the top of the scoreboard for Portsmouth, 7 kills, 2 devs. This guy is absolutely on fire, Wolfie. And Portsmouth, they can rely on this player, but NUEL also on fire. 8 kills to talk about as well. So Portsmouth, all these individual players are coming up huge so far, but they need to keep it riding. Only 5 rounds on the board so far. They want to keep Warwick down, and Portsmouth, if they can get at least 7 rounds, then it would have been a good first half, but the more the merrier, of course.
Jacob catching Devil on the jump early on. The early frag again going the way of the Warwick has-beens on just 1 point of health. He survives, but of course with that AWP, he doesn't care how low his HP is. He just has to hit his shots. Olsen Dan flashes himself into the ramp. Can't win the duel against MFX, who will take his head off. Now a 5 versus 3, and Warwick, again, they're starting to find their rhythm. They're starting to find these rounds a lot more consistently. NUEL's trying to make something happen with JB towards the A ramp, but this time it doesn't look like any miracles will be coming out. A minute left on the the clock. Haas is in a great position to make a play up connector and try and support the pincer movement in towards the A bomb site, but they have to try and clear out the A ramp early on. Neil's going to be the first one through. He has to get this information. He has to find a frag here in towards Sandwich. MFX is in such a strong position, and with that Molotov going down, time is starting to run out. JB goes straight through it, needs to find this frag, can't quite do it. MFX finds it, and this round is looking all but done. Neil desperately finds one frag onto MFX, but there's so many players left alive on the site. How has Neil grabbed himself a second and a third? Neil single-handedly pulling this A-bomb site apart. Neil grabs the fourth, he recovers the bomb, it's all on Jamie. 1 versus 2, trying to make his way out. He's got the bomb in the middle of the site. It's all down to Jamie, but he can't do it. Neil has single-handedly won the round. Portsmouth 6-1. How has that happened?
That was not supposed to happen. This was the Warwick's round, but they lose out because Neil just steps up to the plate, kills everyone, and suddenly Portsmouth, they are just looking absolutely unstoppable. This could be a 7th round for them. That would mean so much. They could go to double digits, Wolfie, and right now, they're just gaining control over middle. So, honestly, with them having so much control over mid, they could just pick and choose if they want to go to B, if they want to go to A, and right now, they're just searching for kills. They don't even care about getting onto the bomb site. They just want to get those kills and get more money to work with. Josh, not landing those shots, will instead just be more or less down as Neil picks up that kill. Jamie does get a return kill onto Devil, but overall, JB then comes in and picks up Jamie. So 7 rounds here for Wolfie for Portsmouth. Will they go to double digits? I think they can.
Portsmouth will not care about losing that one player either. They have just demolished the pistol bite from the Warwick Has-Beens. They are 7-1 up in this series. Again, the heavy investment coming out from Warwick. The double AWP setup as Portsmouth look to try and take that mid control once more. Olsen down towards the A ramp, just peeking the angles, but for the time being, nobody testing the AWP, and Haas just rips it out of Jacob's hands, single-handedly trusts his aim. MFX is able to find one on the refrag, but he's instantly traded. And again, Portsmouth 4v3, but somewhat corrects, and then immediately the trade comes through. This is such beautiful CS from Portsmouth CSGO. They are pushing the map with perfect timings, and they have the A bomb site. The bomb is rotating in. The save has been called. The Warwick Has-Beens. Surely there's nothing more they can do in this round.
No, they need to save. They are on a full loss bonus, so having that M4 and that AWP moving into the next round will give them a fighting chance, will give them enough money to at least fight back against Portsmouth. And for Warwick, they need to get those rounds on the board. Portsmouth is currently just rocking all over the place, and I love what they're doing, just gaining all that area and then just making that to use in terms of gaining duels and forcing it down the throat of Warwick. It's not like they're moving up fast and saying, okay, we gain control through grenades. They gain control through finding kills.
And that is just the fundamentals of CS there. Haas with the aim to take down the AWPer early on in towards middle. And then just the trade frags so consistently coming through for Portsmouth CSGO. They find themselves the man advantage every single time. And now they're keeping 3 rifles up. The save for the Warwick Has-Beens is essential, because at the very least they should be able to get a half decent buyout in round number 10. But at 8-1 up, Portsmouth are accelerating away. And interestingly, we haven't seen a single pause from Warwick.
No, and that is interesting. You would want to see them take a pause right here just so that they can clear their mind. Sometimes you don't need to talk about what you're doing wrong. Sometimes you just need a breather, and Warwick, they could definitely use one right now. But Josh pushes up aggressive, is taken down by JB, who's also aggressive and picks up another kill onto MFX. That auto shotgun from Josh doesn't get to do anything in this game. Jacob as well doesn't get to do anything as JB picks up 3 kills before being shot in the head by someone, but JB won this round. 9 rounds now for Portsmouth. They are on the brink of winning this grand final, and there's nothing that Warwick they can do to stop them.
There is half a chance here for the Warwick Has-Beens, and it's that the bomb has been left in spawn. That has allowed Somewhat to get into this advanced position towards Ticket, spots the player, takes down Olsen down. That A anchor no longer exists. The bomb has to make its way onto site still through Haas, and you can see Neil is not in a position to support particularly. He's out towards jungle, trying to cut out the rotations from the CT side. The bomb has to make its way. It's a 2-on-2. There's half an opportunity for the Warwick Has-Beens, as this plant should come through without too many more issues. An AWP and an AK on a retake is not ideal, to say the least. least, but they have to try and make this work. Jamie through the murder hole has the angle on NUEL here, and the no-scope comes through. Here's the opportunity. Hash trades instantly. It's all onto Jamie. Switches out to the AK. The Molotov forces him to be aggressive. He will be heard pushing up towards the site. The lineup is there. Haas gets the 2 versus 1, and Portsmouth have a 9th.
Haas is looking good. NUEL is looking good. Devil is looking good. Everyone is just on fire here in this game. And NUEL, the shot caller, most importantly, sitting at the top of the scoreboard, 13 kills and 4 deaths. Right now, it's just unstoppable. And having a shot caller riding that high momentum for Portsmouth is doing so much work for them. And Portsmouth, they're about to get 10 rounds, as they have 9 rounds right now. They have all the weapons in the world. Warwick, they are on pistols. This is not going to be very easy for them, but MFX is definitely making this work. Takes down NUEL, takes down Hash. It's down to a 2 versus 4. Double AK-47 on the hands of Warwick as well. So you know what? This could be their round, Wolfie. This could be them at least getting a few rounds on the board. They need at least to get that, but it's just going to be so extremely hard.
This aggression from Jamie should lock the bomb out easily. JB has no idea this is an easy kill, and indeed it is. He recovers the AWP, and Devil DF left 1 versus 4 with it all to do in this situation. He's going to find this incredibly difficult to try and clutch it out. Grabs at least the 1 kill onto MFX. Finds half an opportunity perhaps, but with that bomb so isolated in towards the apartments, all to do. Jacob trades him out, and at the very least Warwick have a second, but they really need to find 5 at the minimum.
Yes, they do, and you can't allow Portsmouth to win more rounds. If Portsmouth, they win more rounds, then moving into the next half, it's going to be so hard for Warwick, and they definitely then need to win that pistol round. And now, talking about keeping it moving, Warwick, they need to win another round. Portsmouth, they have enough money to buy up again. A half-decent buy, weapons, armor as well, but not a lot of utility. But you know what, Portsmouth, they've been able to just land those shots. They don't need utility. Unless JB goes down to begin with, then they do need that utility, because JB is their top fragger right now. Been so good with that AWP. Now Portsmouth, it's all down to AK-47s.
MFX playing anti-flash is very isolated, however, and that will be an easy enough refrag. Can they find this 4-on-4 now, Portsmouth? They're being pushed from all sides as Haas actually takes down Jamie, trying to capitalize on that connector peak. The Molotov's going to force the CT player to stick or twist it. Devil actually finds a frag in towards that B bomb site from Murder Hole. Portsmouth are ripping this hold apart from Warwick, as this bomb's going to look to go down now. Lovely dink, but Josh somehow comes out on top, finds the frag, traded instantaneously, and it is all onto Somewhat, trying to pull it out for the underdogs at the moment. Warwick grabs himself the first kill. There's an AWP recovered, but he doesn't want it. No utility. He's just got to find these frags now. What a beautiful afterplant setup from the T side. They have all the information as Somewhat spots out the first player. The double peek comes in. NUEL finds double digits for Portsmouth, and they are looking utterly dominant here on Mirage.
Warwick, only 2 rounds. Wolfie, this is just Portsmouth running all over the place here for Warwick. Warwick, they bought up, they had the utility that they needed. Now look at Warwick, they're just so desperate to get some rounds on board that they're going for double up setup, 1 scout, and then 1 auto shotgun. Jamie immediately goes down. That's 1 up removed here by Portsmouth. So Warwick, not looking like a good start for them at all. They need to get rounds on the board. They just bought everything up, and this is do or die time. If they start to lose these rounds, if they go 11-2, then winning the second half will require quite a miracle.
JB tagged up, but the frag is not found, and Haas is capitalizing towards that A-bomb side. They're clearing the angles, but Josh on the auto shotgun grabs 2. Half an opportunity, but JB does manage to steady the ship. Now a 3-on-2. The AWP and the M4 are still up for the CT side. Portsmouth have to read this situation well. The use of utility is good. It's going to force Somewhat to change up his position, but there's almost a gap in that smoke as Jacob actually takes down Hash, trying to rotate in towards connector. They need to find frags here, Portsmouth. Now a 2-on-2. The bomb is going to make its way through spawn in towards that A-bomb site. Somewhat currently locking that down from jungle. The AWP of Jacob a little bit isolated in towards that short position. So this bomb should get planted. The after-plant position will be found by Portsmouth CSGO. The 2-on-2 is still just about in their favor, but Jacob with full utility could look to swing this now. Somewhat. Does he wait for his teammate? He starts to peek the angles, takes the early aim duel, takes down Olsen down. It's all on JB, who does find the first frag. He knows the last player was short, but there's so many angles to clear, trying to play behind these boxes as Jacob actually picks up the AK-47, doesn't fancy the AWP here. The Molotov's going to force JB to stick or twist. 24 HP! He finds it before he burns! How does he do that, JB?
Wolfie? This is Portsmouth. They're just stalling on Warwick right now, and JB is looking like a monster. That was not a round that he was supposed to win, but still JB just pulls it out of nowhere.
And somehow Portsmouth find themselves 11-2 up on their map pick. The has-beens looking like they are literally has-beens. Olsen Dan will find one. His teammate's nade will actually kill him. And MFX capitalizes with at least the one frag. The trades are coming through and they're favoring Warwick for the time being. But out of nowhere, NUEL and JB strike. And somewhat, again, 2 versus 1, trying to make his way up towards this site. They spot him out. They tag him up. NUEL finds it. 12-2 Portsmouth CSGO. They are just looking like they are done with this game.
Yeah, they don't want to stay up all night, Wolfie. They just want to win right here and right now. And we painted this game as a old dogs versus new dogs, upcomers versus veterans. And for Warwick, it's looking like their time is over. It's the era of Portsmouth right now. It's their first grand final. And they are not about to waste this opportunity. But MFX still has a thing or two to say about this with him taking down JB and Hash and NUEL. MFX, this might just be another round here for Warwick and something that is more than needed.
MFX taking things into his own hands here in the last round of the half. Devil is actually locking out this B-bomb site for the time being, but with Jamie starting his flank already, it's going to be so difficult for Olsen Dan to link up with him. And with Devil just stuck on that Mac 10, he can't be proactive. He can't find picks. It's all down to Olsen Dan. He has to find Jamie here, and he has no idea where he is, pushing up very aggressively. Jamie is setting himself up with the angle as MFX does actually manage to take down Devil. That's going to leave 1 versus 4. Olsen Dan trying to hightail it towards A. He's been heard as well. Jamie doesn't quite catch the timing, so the bomb might go down, but he's got to find so many frags here. Last round of the half, he won't quite find it. At the very least, Warwick get their 3rd, but they are going to need an absolutely incredible T-side here.
This is such a big insurance here for Portsmouth. They can afford to lose the next 9 rounds. They can afford to just take it slow and steady right now. And for Warwick, this is going to be very, very hard. They are on the terror side. They are the ones that need to be proactive. Portsmouth, they can wait this out. And for Warwick, it's needed that they win this pistol round here. They can't afford to lose this one, but at least they make the right choice and they just move over towards the B apartments. They're quick, they're fast, and they're catching Portsmouth with their pants down. The only one over there, Olsen Dan.
Falls back, gives himself the angle towards short. Can't quite hit the initial shots, and Josh will punish. That's going to be the bomb going down. 5v4. The retake has to come in, but Josh has found himself a 2nd kill in towards Connector, making this very awkward. Josh grabs himself a 3rd, and this is looking all but done. Warwick finally starting to come into their own in this matchup. JB and Devil left to try and recover, but Josh grabs himself the 4th on for the ace. The ding comes through onto JB, and Josh with the ace in the pistol round. Finally, something goes the way of the Warwick has-beens.
And now the Warwick has-beens, they have to ride this hard, Wolf. They need to keep this up, because if they can just win the next 4-6 rounds against Portsmouth, then they would be more or less back. Then it would be looking so good for them. They can't allow Portsmouth to win a single gun round. They can't allow Portsmouth to build up any economy. And it all starts with taking down Devil. Now Has, JB, NUEL, they're the next few obstacles. With Olsen Dan also in there, it's going to be hard, but Warwick with Mac 10s, Galils, AK-47s, it is very, very doable to win these next few rounds without taking too much of a hit. Olsen Dan picks up a kill onto Josh, so it's a good start for Warwick. Make this a costly round for them. Make this a costly round for Warwick.
The Deagles finding an initial frag, but the trades thus far have been good from the T side. Finally, there's half a peak for Haas, but he can't quite capitalize, not in the angle at the right time. And now as Warwick head towards this B-bomb site, there is no CT presence. It's going to be down to NUEL and Haas to really do some damage on the exit, to just try and find some frags, make this as expensive as possible for the has-beens as they look to flood out in towards that B-bomb site. Haas has spotted the information. NUEL on that Deagle is nowhere to be found. As this bomb goes down, he should call the rotation. He'll grab at least one, takes down someone. takes down Jamie.
has.
That's a beautiful headshot, and he's opened up an opportunity here, 2-on-2. The bomb has only just gone down. He needs to wait for the support of NUEL, starting to make his way in towards short, has the deagle to work with. If he can find just one frag here, this is on. He spots out the first player. Haas makes his way out, can't quite find the shot though. The spray isn't there. It's all onto NUEL. He finds the first deagle, but it's traded out instantly. MFX again taking the fate of his team into his own hands, secures the 5th round for the has-beens, but not without significant cost.
Wolfie, we need to mention that. Yes, you're right. It took so much here for Warwick. They lost 4 members, and suddenly Portsmouth, their economy looked way better than Warwick going into this round. Warwick, the highest economy member. Jamie, $1,200. That's nothing to talk home about. So Portsmouth, now with weapons, now with everything, this is a do or die round here for the 2 teams. Because Warwick, they need to build up an economy, but Portsmouth, they could break Warwick right here and right now. And it's starting out well. NUEL getting 1 kill before going down, and suddenly Devil wins that duel. It's down to somewhat. It's down to Jamie now as JB picks up a kill onto somewhat.
3 versus 1 for Jamie. This is the miracle he needs to try and pull off. So many CT players swarming that A-bomb site. Takes the dink. Haas takes him down, and this is just no good for the has-beens. They couldn't pull off the round. Portsmouth with the bye. They had Famishes. They had incredibly limited utility, and they just made it look so simple. Hitting their shots, hitting their frags, and finding the trades. 13-5. The pistols come out for Warwick, and they're going to head towards A, but it is all do or die now.
Warwick, they needed to play this game perfect. They needed to just play every single round perfect from here on out in order to win, but Olsen is here. Takes down 1, takes down 2, takes down 3 before pulling out a pistol and going down himself. And now NUEL comes in, picks up another kill, and there we go. That's a fast round. 21 seconds, and Portsmouth, they are on the brink of winning this grand final. 2 more rounds, and they will be done. Wolfie, I cannot believe what we're seeing. Warwick, they had their chance, they spilled it, and now they're buying up. They have AK-47s, no utility. A member with no head armor as well. Portsmouth, they have everything that they could want. This is Warwick now writing their own history. They need to win this. They can't afford to lose. They need to be
Everything has to go perfect for Warwick now, and Jacob starts things off well, finds the 1 frag, but NUEL is there yet again, finding the double on the spray down and just correcting the situation for Portsmouth. Now a 4 versus 3 for the Warwick has-beens. It's somewhat Jamie and MFX to try and find anything here. You can see Jamie just holding that half a gap in the smoke. He's looking for any kind of a peek, but Portsmouth, they're not going to give them anything. They're a map up. They need 2 more rounds to secure their place as the NUEL champions summer 2019. They are not going to be the players to make the mistake here as Warwick start to take control of middle. They have the player to split this A-bomb site. NUEL holding back, will be taken down by Jamie, and now they look to push, but Devil's still alive and kicking in CT, takes down somewhat, and with that bomb left top of mid, Warwick don't have any reason to even execute towards this bomb site. MFX finds 1, the trade is instantaneous. It's a 1v2 for MFX, and he can't get it done. It is map, series, and NUEL Summer Championship point. Portsmouth CSGO.
And Warwick, they have no money to work with. Now they definitely need that miracle, Wolfie. Portsmouth, everything that they could want right now is in their bag. This must be good game. Well played right here by Portsmouth. 15 rounds. They're 10 rounds up overall against the Warwick has-beens. Now Jacob, with an auto shotgun, needs to be the one to win this round for Warwick. Can he do it? Right now, lurking over towards B stairs. Might just be the hero, but Portsmouth, they are ready to just defend this. And oh my god, Josh and Jamie already down low.
A huge nade to open things up, and now Portsmouth just falling back off the angle. They know the buy is rubbish for the Warwick has-beens as Josh is trying to push up connector with that deagle. They're looking to make that aggression known in towards connector, but NUEL currently locking it down, takes the early dink. Jamie actually finds the initial frag. That puts Devil in an awkward position. He has to try and find something here, and he's being pushed from all sides. They're going to split this A-bomb site. It's all on Devil to try and lock this one down. He knows there's going to be presence towards the ramp. He's finding the spray, has supports from short, and somehow they find 2 frags out of nothing. Devil still alive and kicking, grabs a 3rd, and it's on to somewhat an MFX to try and save this. At least 1 frag found, but JB instantly trades. It's all on MFX, hits the first headshot, but that is it. Portsmouth CSGO are your NUEL Summer Split champions in a stomp of a 2-0.
Beautifully played by Portsmouth. No one believed that they could take it 2-0, but they show up here today and say, well, we can do that. No problem at all. We down Wolfie, but they prove us wrong. We cast a cursed Warwick, unfortunately, and now that is going to be it. Portsmouth, well played. Throughout the entire season, they continue to just impress me. Today, I doubted them, but I will never doubt them again.
Portsmouth just came up huge. They hit all of our win conditions. They did everything we asked of them, and they have absolutely smashed the Warwick Hasbeens. They have ruined the legacy of the Stretchy Boys in a 2-0 victory over them in this new summer split CSGO. And of course, none of this would be possible without our wonderful sponsors, Asus ROG, Intel, and Twitch Student. It's a massive thank you to them for giving these players the opportunity and giving Portsmouth the chance to come out and do what they did today. What a game, Daedalus.
Yeah, what a game indeed. And now Portsmouth, they started their own era. They finished the one of the Stretchy Boys. And you know what? For Warwick, it was a good run. They've done so much in the past. They have a great legacy. But now everyone needs to keep their eyes on Portsmouth because I don't think they're stopping.
It's Portsmouth time to shine. And from myself, from Daedalus, from Voxy, from Fraser, and all the wonderful people at NUEL, thank you so much for watching this summer CSGO and all of the esports we've had going on. We will be back in the winter. Make sure to follow the channel. Make sure to be here when that happens because we want to see Portsmouth and we want to see if anybody can stop them. We will see you guys very soon. Thank you and see you in the winter.
Running full.